Hello, this is Steve Stierwalt. It's been a long time since we've done a podcast. The strategic plan has been in the works for a while now, and I wanted to give you an update where we stood on the plan. Where are we on the strategic plan? Well, anybody that's been involved knows that we spent a lot of time gathering information. We've done a very, very thorough survey that gave us a lot of interesting results. The forums, we had those all across the state, very well attended, and I appreciate that. We've had partners who have given us information. We've had an advisory council made up of people from inside and outside of Soil and Water that have brought information to the table, and our Soil and Water board has been giving input. The challenge now has been to put all this information into something that makes sense, something that actually gives us a way forward, shall we say. And so as one of the parts of that is what I'm hoping you can see, what we're trying to do, I should say, is that in this planning process there's a progression, shall we say. We start out with what we're calling guiding principles. They're kind of the guardrails. They keep us on the road. What is the kind of our parameters that we're working within to develop this plan. Then obviously the mission. Every strategic plan has to have a mission, what we want to accomplish, and then there's everything else after that. What are the things that we think will help us get to our mission? Guiding principles. As I say, these are the kind of things that define how we're doing the plan. So the very first one we heard from districts, everywhere we went, that districts need to remain self-determinant regarding consolidation or whether to consolidate or not. We currently have 97 districts, and it was interesting. That was something that everyone wanted to talk about, and I really gained a comfort level that this is a defining strength of our organization. Having trained staff and volunteer directors all across the state is something that no one else has. No one has this capability. And one of the forums, or I guess it was advisory council that I went to, there's always that discussion of, do we need to reduce the number of districts? And we were in that discussion one time, and one of the participants really kind of came to a very simple explanation that I never really thought to put it that way. And she said that, well, districts have no offices to close. And that's always been the way, I guess, to save money. That's been the recipe everyone's used. School districts, extension, everybody has used a recipe, shall we say, to save money and be more efficient. You close offices and you save that overhead. Anybody that's familiar with districts knows that because our special relationship with NRCS, that recipe doesn't work. So we're suggesting in this plan that we keep our unique strength, which is the independent districts all across the state. Another guiding principle is relevance. We've heard about relevance all across the state also, and from partners and stuff like that. And to me, relevance for us is we need to be able to provide a service that the state wants, that our partners want, but while still moving us toward the goal that we want. We don't want to sacrifice what is important to us, our goals that we are trying to lay out in this strategic plan, just to satisfy what other organizations want. But whenever those goals that we want align with other organizations, then that becomes partnership. And so that's what we're trying to do. So if we want to be relevant, we need to provide those services that our partners need. Collaboration, that is another one that I think doesn't need a lot of explanation. We need to be able to work with other organizations to get things done. and maintain credibility through education, training, and possible certification. It was surprising the number of places that we heard the need for training, for better information base, for building capacity. A lot of words for it. Not all, with directors and with staff. If we want to be looked at as a professional organization by outside possible funders, and even by our state legislators and stuff like that, being able to show the training, being able to show the expertise that our staff has earned, and being able to show a professional level of direction that our directors are able to provide are an important part of what we heard in developing this plan. So that's something that we would like to suggest needs to be included. Strong partnerships, again, that goes right along with what we've talked about. We can all get more done if we work together. And there was actually years ago, I learned from a mentor of mine that it's amazing how much you can get done if you don't care who gets the credit. And I know we hear a lot that our districts don't get the credit when they help with programs, but I do really think that we can get a lot more done if we do work together. And another item in this is use policy approved by delegates to set direction and priorities for the organization as a whole. This is something that hasn't really been done, that we haven't used, as far as I'm aware, to try to set direction, set policy for ourselves as a state. There's a lot of opportunity with policy to define for delegates to define where we should be going. And so if we start going down this path and trying to develop policy, whenever we're talking to legislators, we're talking to potential funders, they all lots of times will want to know what policy we have on certain subjects. So we've got a lot of work to do on that in that area, but I hope to use our policy process to help set direction, at least a general direction that comes out of this strategic plan. So anybody that's been involved with a strategic plan knows that the first thing that comes to mind is a mission. Obviously, that is very important. As I was trying to suggest at the beginning of this, everything flows towards what it is we hope to accomplish, our mission. And for us, what those of us who've been working on this plan would like to suggest is something pretty simple: clean water and healthy soils, for all of Illinois. That is obviously our charter from way back when, soil and water conservation. But being able to enunciate that is our mission, clean water and healthy soils, I think will serve us well as we move forward. And another thing, as we help refine our mission and what we want to accomplish, there'll be an opportunity as we go through the delegate session to actually define clean water as our top priority. Through the resolution process, what this could do is, right now there's a lot of interest in clean water. No matter where you go, people care about clean water. And I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on, they care about clean water. So for us to, if we choose to say clean water is our top priority, I think that'll serve us well. Another, shall we say, big question that our planner, Becky Doyle, asked us about is leadership. It seems like a fairly straight question, but there's really, it's an important question that will drive a lot of things as we go through this strategic plan. Do we want to be the leader, a leader, whatever the right word is, in conservation in Illinois, or do we want to be just a part of the process? And the reason that question is important, the plan that we're working on, will need to be, will revolve around whether we want leadership responsibility or not. And so we've asked this question to our board at that last quarterly board meeting, and the strong suggestion from that group was that yes, we want to be the leader, or at least a leader in the conservation efforts in Illinois. So what we are proposing in the rest of this strategic plan is based on that we want to help lead. In a normal strategic planning process, we would, at this point, be coming to you, the delegates, and staff and directors all across the state, and say, okay, here's the mission we're suggesting. Clean water and healthy soils. And do we want to lead? Okay. Well, the way we are set up to where our delegates just meet once a year, if we wait to get those questions answered before we actually start to work on the next steps in this process, we lose a whole year. And so it's in some ways putting the cart before the horse. But what we've decided to try to do in this strategic planning process is we've gathered as much information as we could from people that we've talked to, and we feel good about suggesting that clean water and healthy soils and the fact that we want to take leadership are what our delegates will eventually want to approve or will approve. And so in the interest of time, to try to move the plan along, we are assuming that the delegates will approve that mission and the idea of taking a leadership role. And so it is obviously, as always, it's going to be up to the delegates to decide that. But the rest of this strategic plan that we're proposing is predicated on those two major points. So if you've got concern about this direction, I'd like to hear from you as soon as possible. We as districts have been very good at doing so many things. Anytime you talk to a district, they can enumerate 20 things that they're doing and feel good about all the things that they're doing. But as we've gone through this strategic planning process, one thing that has become apparent to me, at least, and has been expressed by others, is that when we talk about ourselves or someone else talks about soil and water conservation districts, they aren't able to just enumerate, this is what districts are about. This is what districts are, shall we say, known for, are the leaders in. And so in this strategic planning process, I wanted to suggest that we need to come up with our thing, as I'm calling it. That kind of comes from my generation, but what is it we are about? What are we known for? What is our thing? And so one suggestion that I would like to put out there is that our thing could be, what we do so well. We are the local implementer. And if we choose that water quality becomes our top priority, then I would suggest that we maybe try to become known as the local implementer of water quality initiatives. And this plays to our strengths with staff all across the state and volunteer directors to help identify local initiatives. I'm not aware of anyone else that has the capability, even though we're badly depleted from where we've been with trained staff. No one else still has the ability to have an impact all across the state. And so with ag areas, it would seem to me that the nutrient loss reduction strategy is just made for us. Being able to take leadership in the nutrient loss, I think, is an important avenue to our future. We need for people to be looking to us when they're thinking about nutrient loss to how we're going to solve this problem. They need to be thinking, they need to be saying, well, you know, we need to talk to our soil and water conservation district. So we have to go after that. In urban areas, nutrient loss still is an issue, you know, with phosphorus and that thing, but there's also other issues that can go right back to water quality, the urban manual, and water quantity, you know, flooding. Forested areas, we have a large part of our state in forest, and timber management plans and trying to find ways to keep phosphorus that it's in leaves and everything else from getting into the water. Those all fit well into our goals of water quality. So if we assume that we are going to go for water quality and we hope that districts want to be that local provider, what does each district need to do? What do we as a districts need to have? And those of you who have heard me before, you've always heard me talking about a plan. Well, we need a plan. We need a plan to how we're going to do this. Well, now through this strategic planning process, it's kind of helped identify at least a suggestion on how we can do that. And so you know, if we as delegates set the direction at the state level, and then local districts decide in their own district or with other districts if you choose to, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you think is important? How can you help with the goal of water quality? So each district, I think, needs to figure out what their thing is. What is it that you know, at least one major item that you can really sink your teeth into that may be different than what you've done in the past, that contributes to the water quality all across the state. The opportunity to do it locally and you know, come up with our own ideas is our strength. And so but out of this also we need to know results. As we talk to our legislators, as we talk to potential funders in the future, if we can be able to enunciate, to be able to talk about what the plan is, you know, when we get these plans from all of our districts and we combine those plans into a statewide plan, we have something very powerful that we can then shop to potential funders. And so that comes down to the last bullet point here. What are the resources needed to implement this plan? And I know there's going to be a lot of districts, directors and staff who are going to say, we only have half an employee. You know, we can't do a plan. We can't implement a plan. And what my suggestion to you is that this is not about, you know, being able to implement a plan right now. This is about determining what we need, what you need for your plan that you think is important, that you know is important for your district, for your watershed, whatever it is, whatever your plan entails. And so to say at the very beginning, well, we don't have any money, so we can't do anything, is a problem, is self-defeating in what we're hoping to suggest in this strategic plan. We need you as directors and staff to think about, what do you need? What are the resources? If your plan is a watershed approach, maybe you need a watershed coordinator that works between 3 different districts to help, you know, implement the plan. I don't know. That is the beauty of this opportunity. Each district and each group of districts, if you choose to do that, can have a plan, and then it becomes then it goes to the state association, shall we say, to help you find those resources. Well, the next logical question is, how do we find the resources? Well, that, as I said in the very beginning of this, hopefully this strategic plan is a progression. And so, as I said, we decide if we go with clean water, it all gets back down to where we are now, okay? And each district has a plan. Then the next part of the strategic plan is how to fill those needs. And one of the things that I'd like to suggest is that as we've talked to a lot of different people, one of the things that we can do is to change our foundation, shall we say. Right now, our foundation is a passive foundation. There's the McKibben family gave some money for scholarship years ago. We've kept that money. I mean, we've used that for scholarships just like they ask. But we've never actually gone out and tried to solicit funds. And so what I'm suggesting here is that we change that foundation from passive to active, where we'll actually go out and try to find funds to get this job done. And so as districts come up with their plan, what they want to accomplish in their area, and we put these plans together. There was actually district conservationist, Leon Wente, was in Champaign County. He was a very good mentor for me, and one of his sayings was, if you have a good plan, the money will follow. And it's amazing how it works. There is money out there to get conservation work done, but it all starts with a plan. Well, I already mentioned in the last slide the idea of trying to change the foundation to where it's more active, where it's actually going out and soliciting funds. And so what I'd like all of you to think about as you come to summer conference is that idea, and we're going to be suggesting at summer conference, if the delegates agree that ramping up the foundation, make it active, is a good idea, that we will have some bylaw amendments that will need to be enacted to help that happen. And we're going to suggest that we need a director to go out and seek funds and help coordinate the foundation activities. And we're going to need some kind of a board of people who are there to raise funds. There are some of us who are good at that, and some of us that would run the other way as fast as we can when people would ask you to go out and try to solicit funds. So the suggestion is, the idea is to look for those people that enjoy, that feel passionately about conservation, that want to raise funds. And that would be their role, is soliciting and raising funds for this foundation that would then be able to help support conservation all across our state. Well, there's a whole lot more to this plan that we have solicited from all across the state. There's a lot more ideas, a lot more things that we want to get done, hope to get done. We're just not sure how many things we can get done at once, but we're going to keep working at it. And so some of the other things that we want to suggest is to look at our AISWCD board structure. We've had suggestions that maybe need to be smaller, more nimble, maybe meet more frequently, possibly monthly. So that's one of the things that we want to look at. How can a more nimble board, shall we say, help our overall goal of clean water? Another idea that came along is this conservation implementation roundtable. We talked about taking leadership, or at least earning leadership in the state. And one of the ideas was to host this roundtable that would maybe bring together all the people who are, or at least a lot of the people who are working on implementing water quality work across the state, and finding areas where we agree on, and maybe finding areas that we can actually work together with and be more efficient. Another one is communications. This is something we heard all across the state. We need a common theme. We've been told we need a common theme. We need a statewide brand. You know, again, I don't know if you want to call that our thing or not, but what's our statewide brand? We need to be able to use social media more. Technology for implementing practices to where we may be able to do things with LiDAR and a lot of other ideas. There's a lot of technology that we're looking into on how to help with the process. Improving partnerships, finding more people that we can work with to help achieve our goals where they meet with their goals. And we need to be able to work, we will be looking forward to working with IDOA on finding ways to make administrative functions more streamlined. Any ways that we can figure out to where we can save money on administration, we can save time, we can that those also will help us towards our goal of clean water. But as I said at the very beginning, we as these districts are in a unique position. We're kind of in the center of everything that's going on. There's a lot of things going on in our counties and our districts across the state, and very often we're asked to help with those. So we have that local presence that some other organizations have given up over the years, and in my opinion, that has not served the people of Illinois well when they gave those up. Okay, and our unique and important partnership with NRCS. We appreciate everything that NRCS has done for the districts, and I hope that our district directors and staff, you know, will express that to Ivan Dozier and other members of NRCS whenever we can, because it's an amazing combination that was put together years ago, and would be very hard to duplicate today. Our local natural resource driven process is looked on very enviously by a lot of different groups. The trust that we enjoy at this point with most of our customers is a valuable asset that we need to guard very closely. So, is this strategic plan that I'm talking about today, is it a complete plan? Absolutely not. It's a long ways from being done, and there's a lot more we need to do to get it completed. But I was given some advice along the way that it is a plan, and a plan can change, a plan can evolve. So the suggestion to me was that if you try to get everything done, every I dotted, T crossed, and everything done, that you don't get started. And the suggestion to me was that we need to get started. Do what we can at this summer conference, get started along the plan, and then can continue to refine the plan and make it better. So with the help of directors and staff from all across the state, I look forward to working with you and hope to see you at summer conference. Thanks.